everybody. Welcome back to Is This a Ghost? I'm Clayton Smith, and every week I tell a real ghost story from real history to my real friend, Patrick Dean, who doesn't take it real seriously, but who's really in the St. Patrick's Day spirit today.
Mm-hmm.
That cool green shirt.
It's pretty nice. Yeah, I've never had a green shirt before, and here we are.
How do you feel about it?
It's a little contrived, I'll be honest.
Yeah, it washes you out a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. Appreciate
I wanted to wait until we were recording to say that. Let's see. What do my lights are off. My colored lights are off tonight.
I see that. Yeah.
You've probably been wondering why.
Yeah. But you can tell me. I'll listen. Well,
I assume the YouTube masses are wondering why. And it's because, here's what I decided. Maybe I don't think it's my old age. I don't know what it is. It's probably not my age, but sometimes when we get done recording this, I turn off the pink lights and I turn off my ring light, and my eyes hurt so bad because of the way they've strained for so long in the dark at this bright screen. And I thought maybe it's, I don't know, maybe there's like a chemical in the air or something that is attracted to pink light.
I can see that. I
turned it off, and we'll see how tonight goes. But my eyes feel great so far, and normally they don't feel good this good already in this part.
I mean, art is pain, but if you want to have a little less pain, we'll have a little less art. That's fine.
I'm good with that. That's a good trade for me. I have very low pain tolerance. My threshold is rock bottom.
Bluffing me out of this podcast.
Hey, by the way, speaking of things that we're disappointed in each other, Maple. I was not there for this, so I can't speak to it.
You're just gonna blame your child. Yeah, I wasn't there, but I'm gonna blame my child.
Yeah, in a sense. So I can't speak one way or the other is what I'll say.
That's fair.
Maple saw Moana 2 today.
Ooh.
And she said it's the greatest movie of all time. Way better than Moana 1.
Right.
And I quote, not nearly as scary.
Sounds like somebody's knocking extra serving of lobster shells tonight.
I wonder if that part's going to make it in the show, or if no one's going to have any idea what the fuck you're talking about. Anyway, so do you want to explain yourself? Because my 5-year-old loved it and was not nearly as scared as you were.
You know what? Wake her up. Wake her the fuck up. Get her in here.
Okay, all right, hold on a second. What? That's what she sounds like. What?
I was sound asleep.
Are you drinking soda?
Mother had put me to bed and I was restful.
Mother had given me a bowl of porridge and I had finally succumbed to dreams.
I had finally asked my last question of the day, and now here we are, awake on the podcast.
Questions, I suppose. What questions do you have for me, strange man? Why is your skin so sallow against the color of that shirt? She's a real ball buster, that Maple. Anyway, you're sticking by your review, your critique of Moana 2.
Absolutely. No, yes. Yeah. Have you seen Moana 2?
Well, as I preface this, as I said in advance, no. So I can't weigh in on this. I'm excited I'm excited to choose sides.
Okay.
I'll set some time during tomorrow, my work day. Say, so I got to move these meetings. I got a real important thing to do. Let's watch Moana 2. I will say, and I heard her say this, and I didn't register, but Aaron called it out. At one point, Maple said, because I was like making dinner and like working and stuff, so I wasn't watching, but I was there, and Maple kept saying like, "This is a great movie. I love this movie." Like the whole time, right? The whole time, I'm thinking, boy, Patrick is really an idiot. There was one point where she said, "This movie is so good, it's almost like a TV show."
Oh.
And then Aaron called out. She's like, "Hey, wait, didn't Patrick say on the podcast that it like that was kind of a bug, not a feature?" So she did call that out. So you got some legs there.
Okay, so they are they're pandering to the 12-minute attention span of children.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah, I'm surprised, frankly, that you don't have that. Maybe for a long time, I would have sworn otherwise. Anything else going on this week? You're a single dad today.
I am. Yep. Amy has sailed away one time zone over from here, and she'll be back in a few days. So we're just single parenting it for a little while. Might take the kids to the grocery store, try and get some
Ooh.
sympathy from some
Babes.
moms. Yeah, from the
From
babes.
some babes. Yeah. How many of them do you try to squeeze into the top part of the cart?
The babes?
Same
Oh,
part.
none of them. No, they scream. They really don't like it.
Learn my lesson.
Yeah.
Fool me once. Boy, but fool me 7 times.
Mhm.
That's the police's problem,
Yeah.
apparently. That's cool. That's a big plan. When did she get back?
About 3 days. 3 days? Yeah.
Man, it's a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
a
Some
long
would say
time.
too long.
Yeah, I would. I'll just say it. I would. She doesn't listen to this, right? I always go, oh, so speaking of people being alone with their children for several days, so Aaron was, because I was out of town this weekend, and I took a bunch of students down to North Carolina from here in Virginia, so for this retreat. And so a colleague and I, we drive down, and we rent this 15-person passenger van, and we've got 9 students and 2 of us, and we're driving 6 hours to North Carolina outside of Asheville, and we're trucking along. It's fine. And like I'm watching the gas meter.
Mm-hmm.
I know what it means.
The gas meter?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Gasometer. Is that what it's called?
No, these are all correct words for
Yeah.
for that. Yeah.
I'm watching the gasometer,
Uh-huh.
and it's getting closer to the E, which stands for eep. Better get gas. But it's not there. We got space.
Mhm.
But we turn down when we go through like a bit of Tennessee, and then we cut down into North Carolina through this Highway 40.
Mhm.
Right now, I'm not familiar with Highway 40. I don't know anything about Highway 40. I am familiar with the fact that the Asheville area was recently, just devastated.
Absolutely.
by-
Yes.
Right. So so we get on Highway 40. We're going down. Apparently, Highway 40 just opened,
Oh, okay.
as in last week,
Wow.
because it had been kind of wrecked by the hurricane.
Mhm.
And we at this point we don't know anything about. So we're on the road. The gasometers, it's getting a little low, but there's exits everywhere.
Sure.
So we're like, we'll just push it for a little bit. So we get in this road. The road instantly becomes 1 lane
Okay.
each way
Right.
of this like 6-lane highway,
Mm-hmm.
and not just 1 lane, but also it's not like there are like cones or pylons or anything. It's like there are cement walls on one side,
Right.
and then like a raised ridge on the other side. So you can't. They're
Right.
locking you in. You're locked in.
Yeah. It's more of a shoot. You're
It's a shoot.
you're in a luge. You're
I'm in a luge.
luging.
I'm in a
Yes.
luge. I'm in the slow luge, the slowest luge you've ever seen. And there's a lot of traffic, and it's very slow. So we pass this exit,
Mhm.
off which there are several gas stations.
Right.
Right.
Mhm.
And we pass it, and as soon as we pass the exit, 2 things happen. Number 1, we come to a stop.
Oh,
Because
okay.
traffic is so bad.
Right.
Number 2, the gas light comes on.
Oh, but were you checking the gasometer?
I was checking the gasometer.
Right.
What I like to do is say we have plenty of gas until the gas light comes on. Then
Right.
it's like emergency situation. We have to get off the interstate now.
Uh-huh.
Now,
Very
Aaron is
binary.
always like,
very
yeah,
binary
yeah,
situation.
Yeah, I'm a man
Yeah.
of extremes. Yeah.
We're totally fine. We're fucked.
Yeah. Now, that's not how it works, really, in reality, is what I'm told.
Right.
There's grades and stuff. And Aaron's always like, when the light comes on, I'm like, oh my God, we got to get gas. And she's like, you've got 30 miles or something.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't think so.
Mhm.
I think she's probably right. But so the gas light comes on. And I'm like, oh, fuck. We're standing still. We can't get off. Like, okay, we'll see. So I take out the phone. Where's the next exit? So we have passed this one.
Right.
Too late. I can see the gas stations are very close to me.
Yes.
I cannot reach them
Right. Yes.
Right.
Because of the luge.
because of
Yes.
luge. And so I check my phone. The next gas station, as we wind this road through the Smoky Mountains, is in 47 miles.
Okay. Usually
And
that
I
light
think-
comes on
Fuck.
at lower than 47 miles. Generally. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, fuck. So I'm starting to be a little concerned.
Mhm.
And then the van does this thing where once your light comes on, it flips to tell you how many miles you have left.
That's very helpful. Not anxiety inducing. Not at all. No.
No, it's both. Yeah, both helpful. Yes. And anxiety inducing. No. So it says you have 60 miles left.
That's easy. That's a lot more than 47.
And I'm thinking, okay, we can do this.
Right. 13 miles to spare. Now, mind you, you're getting pretty poor mileage at the moment
Well,
because of the not moving.
Also, mind you, it's pretty warm. So at this point, at the beginning point, I do have air conditioning on.
Okay. Yes.
I hear that also does not help.
Yeah, it can detract. Sure.
Yeah. So we're sitting there, we're sitting still and just burning gas. And I'm watching, as we're sitting still, I'm watching that number go 60, 59, 58, as we're not keeping track with that mileage.
Right.
Suddenly, it starts to move. So here's the situation. So now we're inching through the Smoky Mountains in this chute on this highway. On all sides of us are giant holes in the highway from the hurricane that have not yet been repaired.
Right.
So that's unsettling on a different plane.
Right. Sure.
To me, I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's safe. Whatever. They wouldn't open it probably, but it's like you're seeing like these. I mean, these huge. You could fit 3 of our vans into some of these holes on the sides of the highway that are like 3 feet from where your van is.
Right. Yes.
Don't like that. So we're inching through the mountains up and down, and there's all these semis. So we're going extra slow, and I'm like, I got my phone in one hand, I got the wheel in the other hand. I'm just like fucking clocking this, and as we go, it's just that gap is getting smaller and smaller, and I am in a full blown panic because it's not just that we might run out of gas. It's not just that we might run out of gas like many miles from a gas station.
Right.
It is mostly that I am in a van with 9 of my students. And if we run out of gas and get stranded in this chute that we're backing up all this traffic and cannot move, that is the worst possible thing I will have to deal with my entire life is the next 4 years of these students reminding me that this has happened.
Especially as those kids try to push the van straight up the Smoky Mountains with you like hunched over the steering wheel.
Yeah. And this was like a nerdy conference, so it's not like they're not.
But you're gonna need all of them to push.
I'm gonna need all 9.
Yeah.
And so we're going. So I'm checking, and it was a very harrowing like 30 minutes of my life. We eventually got out and broke into this exit that brought us, thank God, directly to a gas station. By the time we rolled into the gas station, the little marker said 3 miles of gas left.
Hey,
so we could have gone a little further. But I was just like, oh my God, the most harrowing experience of my life. You don't seem to care very much about it, but
I mean, I'm
glad
you survived. I'm glad you survived.
Students.
Yeah, I'm
Thank
glad
you.
you survived.
The humiliation in front of students is mostly the thing. Amy would understand. Can we get Amy on the phone?
No, absolutely not.
No.
She's having a lot better time than we are right now.
What's she doing?
Anything else?
All right. Oh, I guess we'll end that story and just do the podcast. You want to hear a ghost story?
I do. Actually, I just got a text message from my father. Oh. So just so you're aware of the things I'm being asked to do.
Let's see if there's I don't know. I'm going to randomly push a button here just to maybe there's like a Patrick's Dad song. I got to label these.
Maybe just a news update. There's a news update. Boy, that's not the right one. Did my father just come through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man or something?
All right, hold on. Let's try this one.
Drake Hotel, Chicago.
No, that was from the live show. Where?
There we go. In late breaking news from my father, he has texted me to let me know that Channel 5 no longer works on his television.
I have so many questions.
No, that's all the information I have.
I don't think we have time to even ask them, much less answer them. That is a big one though, because that's one of the terrestrial ones. That's
just very, very harrowing, very terrifying for him.
Oh boy. All right.
Anyway,
this has been another episode of Patrick's Dad Has a Text. Well, now that we've got that settled, are you ready for a ghost story?
Yeah, I am. Absolutely.
All right. Our National Parks Suite continues this week. Last week, we had Joshua Tree with our friend Graham Parsons. Today, we got something different.
I would hope.
Yeah.
It'd be real shitty if we did the same one again.
I will say that I started researching a ghost story while I was on the retreat. I was like, this is a good time to sit and avoid programming and just sitting here and do my own work. And I got about halfway through my story here. And then Jeremy was like, oh, I have the cut for the next episode ready for you to listen. I was like, yeah, I'll take a break and listen. And as I listened to that episode, that's when I was reminded that I said we were doing a national park suite. So I took half the notes for something that has nothing at all to do with that. And I thought, God damn it. So I had to go back in and restart. And now that's how we got this story. And it starts like this. There is a cemetery inside Yosemite National Park.
Okay.
You know that?
I did not know. Is that where Yosemite Sam is buried? Or?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And the tombstone is just 2 revolvers. And in honor of him, once a day at noon exactly, his favorite time because he loved lunch, they just fire little bullets.
And then the graveyard slowly grew around that tombstone, oddly.
Not sure how that happened. I don't know. So there is. Have you ever been to Yosemite?
I have not. No, I haven't really done anything out west that was fun, at least.
Well, that's hurtful to say as someone who's been on a road trip with you. Out
I
west.
mean, okay, I'm sorry.
Multiple, I think.
I've thrown up in the desert before. That was
Well,
pretty fun.
I thought it was kind of fun. So the cemetery there is called Yosemite Cemetery. It's not surprising. Sometimes it's called Pioneer Cemetery. It was built in the 1870s and is located on the western edge of Yosemite Village. There are 45 people buried there.
Oh, pretty exclusive. Okay.
It is exclusive. Only 36 of them have headstones.
Okay.
So you may be wondering, how did they find the other 9? Not part of this show. I don't know.
I'm assuming it's like the ground radar from Jurassic Park. They just walk around and just thump. I'm like, oh, look, there's one right there.
Now the impact of that did shatter those bones to dust. So I guess we're one fewer now than we were before. One of those 36 headstones is a big chunk of granite that marks the grave of a man named Galen Clark. And here is, for your viewing pleasure, that big old chunk of granite.
That is a good-sized chunk of granite. I wouldn't say big hole. It's not a boulder. I'm imagining National Park, big chunk of granite. I'm imagining boulder. This is not boulder.
You don't think it's boulder?
No, you could push this over. This is pushoverable.
All right.
Yeah.
I want you to keep that in mind.
I will.
I'm going to come back to this. Thanks. God, what a dick. We're going to come back to that. You're going to feel pretty stupid.
Okay.
Galen was born on March 28th, 1814 in Shipton, which is in Lower Canada.
Okay. Isn't everything in Lower Canada?
I have a second note here that says Lower Canada, question mark. I think everything except sourdough is in Lower Canada. Yeah. I don't know. So, but this was British controlled Canada at this point. We've talked about British controlled Canada before. Marie Laveau, etc. When Galen was still young, he joined the westward migration and he moved to Waterloo, Missouri.
Yeah.
1836. Do you know Waterloo?
I know Waterloo, Illinois, not Waterloo, Missouri.
Yeah, I think the Missouri one is near Kansas City.
Oh, okay, that would make sense.
Yeah. The Illinois one is by St. Louis.
It is, yeah, just on the other side of the river.
They have a car dealership, I think. I want to say a car dealership.
They got a little bit of everything over there, I guess. It's a big commuter town for St. Louis. It's a big bedroom community over there. So
a little bit of everything, huh?
Indeed.
You have a water park?
Everything.
Lascivious wink. But this is in Waterloo, Missouri. So he moves there, and not long after, he meets a woman named Rebecca McCoy. They get married 3 years later in 1839. Life is rolling along. They have 5 children.
In 3 years?
No, sorry. They got married 3 years later. After they got married, then they had the children.
Okay.
They had Irish triplets. They had 5 children. Their names were Joseph Locke. Clark is our last name. Joseph Locke. Mary Ann. Kaylin Alonzo.
Oh. Where the fuck that come from?
Yeah, I think we all know that one's
I think they
probably not Galen's.
Yeah.
Salon McCoy, and Elvira, Missouri.
The inventor of burlesque performance. I don't know if you knew that. That was good for her. Elvira, Missouri.
Elvira, Missouri Clark.
Oh man,
That's a hell of a name.
anytime you say a name and you're like, that name is too dumb for roller derby, then you know you got a good name.
Then you know you're talking about someone who either was born in Missouri or Florida,
Yeah.
like 100% of the time.
Do you and Aaron ever do that? Try and come up with like good roller derby names for each other?
No, but that is a pastime we should probably take up. That
Yeah.
sounds pretty fun. I assume you and Amy do because I know you.
Always.
And
Always.
Amy. Any favorites you want to share?
Probably Tequila Mockingbird. That's a pretty good one.
Yep, that gets the spit out drink stamp of approval.
And this one, it's better written out, but you probably get the point of it. Intrusive Thought, THOT. That's another pretty good one.
That's good. All right. I don't know if I can top. I don't know. This is not a game I should introduce.
I should. We've been working on these for years. I wouldn't worry about trying to top them. I mean,
okay, now give us some of your worst ones.
oh,
Go ahead.
let's see. The Banana Hammock Republic. That was pretty bad.
All right. So we're done with that segment. So they have these 5 kids. The first of which was Elvira, Missouri, but I wanted to save her name for the end because I thought you
Obviously,
that.
absolutely.
Little punch there.
Glad you did.
Now, somehow, after having 5 children, Rebecca still manages to die young, according to the notes. So she dies. Galen, he takes it pretty hard. And he decides the best way to cope is to go and seek his fortune in the California gold rush.
Oh, okay. Drag all 5 children across the Rockies.
Well, I don't know. I didn't find documentation that suggested he brought them.
Oh,
I didn't
no.
find documentation to suggest he didn't bring them.
Right, but nothing
But it
definitive
doesn't
that they
seem like the
came
kind
with.
of thing you're like, hey, family, let's go to the gold rush.
Especially when one of them is Elvira. Like you're not dragging Elvira out to California for the gold rush.
Hey, speaking of Elvira, so on this trip that I was on with my students, and I'm now, just a reminder to everyone listening, I now live in Central Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
One of my students was wearing this giant hoodie, and on the back of it was the face of Svengoolie.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I said, hey, is that a Svengoolie hoodie? And she goes, I don't know. I said, it is. That was a rhetorical question in some ways. I said, do you know who Svengoolie is? And she said, no. I was at
I hate this generation so much.
and she said, no, I was at an event and I saw this hoodie. Like there was like some part of the event was some like thrifting pop-up.
Okay.
Like I saw it and it was really cool, so I bought it. And I said, oh, well, let me tell you about Svengoolie. I said, and I started off, I'm not taking the cues here that I should not be, that they don't care.
Right, yeah.
But I'm excited because I'm like, the last place I lived outside Chicago was Berwyn. And I don't know if you know this,
But Svengoolie hates it.
But he's from Berwyn and doesn't like it. And then they were all like, oh, okay. And I was like, well, I should have pressed them further. And I say, and so when I was living there every year, they would do this big Svengoolie festival and they would like bring like his hearse to this lot and he would show up there and all these people would be there and he would do a whole bit. And it was only like 2 blocks from my house. And the way these kids looked at me was devastating. They could not have cared a single ounce less. One of them wearing a Svengoolie hoodie was so uninterested in this story.
Like you just described meeting Dwight Eisenhower or something like that. Like, I don't care, man.
Oh man. It was tough. And then but then one of the students in the back said, oh, I've seen Svengoolie. And I said, wait a minute, you've seen the show Svengoolie? Because now I'm differently confused. Yeah. And she said, yeah, it's on MeTV and my grandma watches it. Like, fuck off. And then actually I got a closer look at the kid's hoodie and there's a little MeTV logo at the bottom.
Yeah.
That's tough. That's tough. That's how I watched MASH
Yeah.
Anyway, so California Gold Rush. So he heads out with or without his kids. He heads out west in 1854. Now, we've talked about the Gold Rush before.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're an ITAG fan, or if you're maybe even just an NFL fan joining us for the first time, you probably know the big year of the Gold Rush was 1849.
Mm-hmm.
That's the 49ers are a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now Galen's going out there in 54.
Right.
So he's late.
hoping. He's hoping there's still a little bit of gold left, maybe at the bottom of the river. Maybe.
I was trying to remember, and I didn't do the research to check this out, but this might have even been the time where people had left there to go
up to Canada,
the Yukon, yeah,
yeah.
for that one. So he's way behind, but he's doing his best.
I'm sure the whorehouses are still open and stuff, so it's probably okay.
And more desperate. Prices are lower than ever.
Yeah,
because so he's doing okay. It may not surprise you to learn he doesn't find any gold. He only finds tuberculosis.
Oh, well, it's gold in its own right.
So he goes to the doctor, and the doctor is like, I have bad news for you. I'd say you got about 6 months to live.
Oh, no.
So this is taking a bad turn for Galen. Doctor tells him there's not much I can do for you, but like what I hear is outside is good.
Oh,
maybe go outside and do some stuff outside.
Okay, so this has got to be tough. Got to be tough. You got tuberculosis because you got some doctors saying thick walls, stay inside in the thick walls,
thick northwestern walls.
Right. Other doctors are like, you got to get below the ground, no fresh air, just breathe everybody else's dank air. And then you got some doctors that are like, no, outside, sunshine, fresh air, that'll do it. And what do you do? What do you do?
Let's ask RFK Jr. see what he thinks. In some ways, we're going back to that right now, and I think it's kind of exciting.
No, what you want to do? It's beef tallow. That is the cure for tuberculosis. Beef tallow,
but only in candle form. You must put the beef tallow candle in your mouth, point it up. You light it. You let the wax drip into your throat. That's how you beat tuberculosis. So he's like, you should go outside. So Galen's like, I guess I'll try it. So he moves to the mountains of Eastern California.
Okay.
Pretty close to the Nevada border.
Mm-hmm.
And here's a quote from Galen. I went to the mountains to take my chances of dying or growing better, which I thought were about even.
Mm-hmm. At least you can do it somewhere pretty.
Totally. I mean, hey, if I was told you have like 1 month to live, I would spend it with my kids and my wife. But if I were single and or left my kids back,
if I'd already left them on the other side of the Rockies, then,
so that I could get tuberculosis from a prostitute, I would definitely be like, I'm going to nature. So he goes out there and he loves it. It's gorgeous, and this is obviously it's incredibly undeveloped at this point. He's loving it. Now, Northern California, which is where he is not. Now, as you know, I'm sure that's kind of known as like the home of the giant redwoods. And I did not know this, but out east in the Wawona area, Galen finds what we now refer to as the Mariposa Grove of giant sequoias.
Oh, the big boys.
The big boys are not just for Northern Californians anymore. Also for Eastern Californians. I'll show you a picture of our boy here. Here is Galen.
Man, that is a big old tree. How many Galens would you need to lock arms to go around that tree? I'm saying 40 Galens. 40 Galens around that tree.
I like this new unit of measurement. Quite a lot, actually.
I'm not entirely sure why he has a musket. Was he hunting this tree?
I do. Do you have any idea how many fucking wild animals are out in Eastern California in 1854 or whatever? I don't know why he doesn't have 9 muskets.
It's a very scary tree. It's a building-sized tree, and the roots don't go all the way down to the ground.
Yeah, that is the scariest part. Every one of these is a cave.
Those are grizzly bear holes. Those are absolute grizzly bear holes.
Yeah.
So the musket, I don't even know if the musket helps at that point. I might just use a musket to put in my own mouth if a grizzly bear comes crawling out of there.
That's a little self anti-preservation, I think is what they call that. but that's our boy. So he sees trees like this, like a whole grove of them. And of course, he's amazed.
Mhm.
I would be amazed today, and I know they exist. He probably had no fucking clue. He's like, holy shit, this is incredible.
Imagine seeing a redwood if you don't know what a book is. Like, that's...
And if you don't know how many books you could make from a redwood,
Right.
oh boy. So he's amazed. He's like, this is unbelievable. I love it here. This is just so incredible. And he thinks, well, I guess like I'll just be here until I die.
Mhm.
And until then, I'll just spend my time telling people about these cool big trees.
Mhm.
Which is a great thing to do, because I want to see these. I've never seen a big tree.
Mhm.
I wanna
They
see a
need
big tree.
advocates, apparently. So why not? Maybe
They
that'll be
do.
me.
Yeah. If I can get 39 more of me's, we could just really save this tree.
No, I did leave the other 5 of me's back in Missouri. I don't want them. I don't need them out here.
No, 39 like cool me's, you know
Right.
what I'm saying? 39 me's who are willing to get tuberculosis from a prostitute. That's what I'm looking for here. My kids didn't have the stones. Elvira, maybe.
Yeah. 39 me's who are not creatures of the night will need to come out here.
So he wants to share the big trees with people. So he starts writing letters to Congress. He's telling them like, hey, these trees are pretty special.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be cool if we could protect them.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, this is a ludicrous idea.
Yes.
And again, today it's a ludicrous idea.
Yeah. Yeah, we bookended it real nicely.
Yeah. There's a big chunk of time in between where it's like a good idea that's normal and makes sense.
Yeah.
At this point, this had never, like, no one had ever advocated for trees before. So they start off by kind of ignoring him. But eventually he convinces one of California's senators, a man named John Conness. Is that right?
Mhm.
I guess so. John.
We'll go with it.
Conness? You sure?
Yeah.
He's on board, finally. And so Galen then eventually helps write and then pass federal legislation to protect this Wawona area.
Wow. Okay.
And God, for so many reasons, I do hesitate to share this information with you, but for the sake of a complete story,
Mhm.
I will also add
Mhm.
this was called the Yosemite Grant
Okay.
because the Yosemite people were living in the area.
Mhm.
It was signed into law by President Abraham Lincoln,
Okay.
who I am sure was fully clothed at the time of signing.
I'm sure they were like, "Oh no, we don't have a quill to sign this with. Does anybody else have something rock hard we can use to sign this deck?"
So, does anyone else have anything as hard as
Abraham Lincoln's like, "I got 2 of them right here. Need any glass cut as well?"
Every once in a while, someone new will come to the show and they'll send me a message, like on social media or whatever, and they'll I can pinpoint the range of episodes that they're in because they will say, and this happens at least a few times a year at this point, where they say, "Hey, what's the deal with naked Abraham?" And I say, "Well, you're past. You didn't go so far back as to go to the Abraham Lincoln episode, but you've gone far enough where you've had enough naked Abe references that you're feeling uncomfortable." So welcome, friend. So Abraham signs a contract. Now, this legislation protects Yosemite Valley, and it also protects specifically the Mariposa Grove of giant sequoias for, quote, public use, resort, and recreation to be left inalienable for all time.
Wow. All time.
All time.
It's pretty
All
good.
the times.
Mhm.
I mean, in some ways, that one sentence has a lot more foresight than, I don't know, all of our Constitution. So that's pretty good.
For all time, or until one becomes bored with this document, at which point please tear it up and shit
Or
upon
until
it.
people decide what are norms. So this is the very first time that a piece of land is ever set aside for preservation and public use by the U.S. government. It set the precedent for Yellowstone eventually to become the first official national park in 1872.
Wow.
They were able to do that because of this. Now, of course, they need someone to watch over this piece of land.
Mm-hmm.
So
Who better to speak for the trees?
than the guy who is 140th of the base of a tree, Galen Clark, becomes the official, and his title is Guardian of the Grant.
Wow.
Pretty
Okay.
good title. I am going to start calling myself the Guardian of the Pod. Put it on my business cards and maybe on my Mary Baldwin business cards, and people will have questions. So he's Guardian of the Grant. So again, he has tuberculosis. He's probably going to die, but he's like, while I'm alive, I'm going to try to save these. He does save them, and apparently saving them heals his lungs.
Oh, goodness.
Tuberculosis, gone.
And he tells no one.
No, why would he?
100 years would pass until a cure for tuberculosis was found in these very woods.
So he wants to protect the land, but he also wants to share it with people. So he builds a little hotel there, and he starts a guide service.
Okay.
So a little entrepreneurial, but lest you think he was using this to enrich himself, rest assured, Galen was, quote, a poor businessman. So
how can you fuck up tour the trees that I didn't pay for and are protected by the federal government? How do you lose money on this?
well, I have one example actually to answer that question, at least in part. There was I don't know the breadth of his bad decisions, but one of them that was offered was, for example, he always hired way too many guides for the number of guests. So
I mean, it's trees, man. You put like a little flag in front of each one, and you just kind of go 1, 2, 3, 4 through the forest.
yeah, man, I think one guide is more guides than you need, bud.
When your entire endeavor could be replaced by a piece of kite string tied from tree to tree throughout the woods, maybe you're not doing so hot.
Yeah. But he just loved it. He loved the woods. He just wanted to share it with people. He's just excited. So he does that. Now, eventually he becomes, quote, desperately poor.
But tree rich.
Tree rich. Exactly. He seems pretty happy. That is important.
I mean, he got rid of 5 kids. He
guess.
put 2 time zones between him and his kids, and now he lives off the trees. So
He lives off the trees and all the hours of sleep he gets every night, and he is a happy man. So the area that he is now stewarding, it sort of bounces around between state and federal control for a while. Eventually, obviously, it'll become Yosemite National Park. Now, when Galen first takes over, way before it becomes a national park, he spends a lot of time just kind of wandering the area, as a good warden of the area would do.
Yep.
He particularly loves this one piece of flat land on the western side, and he thinks, "Gosh, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but this would be a great place to be buried."
Okay.
It's like when you went to that Denny's and you were like, it would be awesome. Someone just, gosh, this Grand Slam is so good. I don't know. Someone could just flush my ashes down the toilet in the employee restroom. That would just be great. That's another deep cut. I want to guess episode, throw a dart at the board, 47.
I wish I remember which.
Earlier than that.
I wish I remember which Denny's that was. I need to probably go back to all of them again.
I got a note somewhere just in case Amy ever asks. Now, so he wants to be buried here. I don't know if he may be thinking this like before his consumption is gone. So maybe it's like an actually pressing thing, like where do I want to be buried? Or maybe not. But either way, what he does, he goes and gets 6 sequoia seedlings from that grove that he found.
Okay.
And he plants them in this field. In a kind of a circle. And in the center of those seedlings, he digs himself a grave.
Okay. Yeah.
Why not?
I can see. Yeah. A lot of people nowadays, if they know they're dying, they'll like make their own arrangements.
Yeah.
They'll contact the funeral home and they'll choose the color of the drapes or whatever the fuck. I don't know what they do.
Edible arrangements. Yeah.
Yeah.
These are the strawberries I want everyone to eat at my funeral. And please make sure that happens.
Please put it right next to my body up on top of the casket. I would love that.
Yeah. So people can come by when they pay their respects. Just lean in and take a little. Yeah. Now, this is a good time to remind you. So this is the chunk of granite we talked about earlier.
I see.
This is a giant sequoia.
Oh, okay. All right. So now the perspective is starting to get a little bit different. Sure.
It's not certainly a fully matured giant sequoia, but I will tell you this. Galen was alive in the late 1800s. This tree is at least 100 years old by the time this photo's taken. So this is a gigantic chunk of rock. So apology accepted. Anyway, so he digs his own grave, but then he doesn't die because he's great.
Yeah.
He's healthy.
He's rejuvenated. This is exercise.
Yeah.
You know, wait a second. Exercise and being outside. This is helping the tuberculosis.
What? Huh. Meanwhile, the death toll in that cave in Mammoth Cave is just going through the roof. So every day Galen comes and he waters the seedlings. Well, not every day. He waters them, he tends them, he nurtures them, and they grow into real trees. This goes on for 20 years. It'll be 20 years before he actually dies. And so these trees, by the time even he was dead, they're pretty big. But also, his grave was just sitting there open for 20 years.
Right, yeah.
Entire time.
Do you tend to the grave? Like, do you?
I don't
like
know.
You water the seedlings and you probably cut the grass and whatnot. Do you go and like tend to the grave too?
I just don't know, because what's the point?
Yeah.
Really?
Like I did put on a little weight this year. Maybe I should just
they'll trim out the
waller this
sides.
out a little bit. Yeah, I get it, guys. Then maybe in the next year you lose 20 pounds. You're like, you know what? No, this is too big for me.
Yeah.
This is too big.
This
is a big boy grave. I'm a little boy now.
This is for me, and I'm gonna I'll pad the sides a little bit. Yeah.
Carve it like into an hourglass shape for some reason.
In case you want a Bugs Bunny funeral.
Yeah. I want this really to accentuate, what I've been working on out here.
Yeah, I think so. Well, things are going to grow over your body because you're so fertile.
Sure. Yeah.
With your hourglass figure.
I don't want people to come up to my grave and be like, "What fat ass died in this thing?" No, I don't want that.
Yeah. Now, do strap me into this girdle and lock it with a key so it cannot come off me for the rest of my life. I'm committed to this idea. So anyway, this goes on for a long time. So. And he also picked out that slab of granite to serve as his tombstone. Can you imagine knowing 20 years before you die, all right, here's where I'm dying. Here's my grave. Already dug it. That rock over there. Tombstone. Yeah. Here's what's it's so wild.
Well, and then they carve the birth year in it, right? And they don't put the death year, but probably I would imagine they carve a couple numbers from the death year
at least
in it.
The one.
Yeah, they're one, obviously. And then maybe the 8, that's a little presumptuous. Yeah. And then maybe if things start to, if the tuberculosis comes back, maybe they put the next number in there too. And
it's a not, it's it's getting close to 9. They're we're going to put a 1 in here. Just, we can turn that into a 9.
I'm not going to put the serifs on the top and the bottom because we don't know yet. We don't know.
That's right.
We kind of know.
Yeah. The one guy who comes over and he's puts a 3 in the very last spot.
Yeah.
It's coming for you. Oh, no.
I have one goal in life now. To die before that year. Make you look like a fucking idiot.
So anyway, so he's doing this whole thing in the woods. Now, in September 1857, he goes on a long tramp, is the quote, to a small lake about 8 miles away called Grouse Lake. He gets to the lake.
Everybody just complains up there the whole time. They just complain about getting to the lake. They complain when they get at the lake. They complain to walk home from the lake.
Yeah. And they
Very
complain
negative.
at the lake.
Yeah.
They turn to the lake and they complain. Yeah, and it really absorbs that energy for sure. The cat's got a grouse.
I have a cat taking apart a Lego statue over there.
What kind of statue? What Legos you got over there? Like a whole.
Maybe it's not a cat. I don't know. I'll have to see after the show's over.
So Galen gets to the lake and he sits down to take a little rest. Now, while he's resting, he hears what he called, quote, a distant wailing cry, somewhat like a puppy when lost.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And he thinks, well, that's probably a puppy and it's lost,
Right.
of course. And he thinks it's probably a dog that belongs to the Indians.
Yes. Yeah.
Again,
it has that cry to it of an Indian dog.
it was less about the kind of the twang in the, in the puppy's voice, and less about the dialect and more about the fact that the Native Americans are kind of all around, and they had dogs.
And famously, don't coddle them. So they just allow them to cry, I guess.
Oh, I see what you're saying. That's mean.
I mean, again, it's not me. This is just stereotypes.
Okay, so so he assumes it's a dog that belongs to a Native American, because of course there's still a lot of them around, and oh my god, so they're there. And I will say that they're also like, while they're clearly watching these these white people come in and be like, we have to save this land. What will happen if we don't save this land?
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, yeah, we were doing that, you sons of bitches.
You are saving the land from you. Do you not see the irony of this?
And I'm not sure it'll work. So anyway, so he doesn't think too much about it. So he goes on. But the wailing does continue for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually it stops, or he gets too far out of range to hear it. And Galen is, he continues on his walk. That evening, he comes across some Native Americans at their hunting camp. And I guess they either have or establish immediately a good relationship, because Galen sits them for a while. And he asks if they lost a dog back by Grouse, by this lake, because he heard one crying out there. And the Indians tell him, oh, that's not a dog. That's a ghost.
Oh.
And Galen says, I'm pretty sure it's a dog. And they say, no, fucker, it's a ghost. And the story is that a while back, a boy from their own tribe had drowned in that lake.
Oh.
And now, anytime someone goes past the lake, the boy will cry out for help. And that's the sound, the strange wailing moan is the sound of him crying for help. But they also told Galen, don't go back to that lake. And if you hear it, do not go into the water.
Okay.
Do not go near the water looking for it. It's not safe, because anytime someone goes to help, the boy grabs him by the leg and drags him down into the water and drowns him.
Oh, no wonder everybody complains about that lake.
No one is called Grouse Lake. Nothing but complaints. Worth noting, Galen didn't seem to believe this story, though in his journal he did write that the Native Americans he met absolutely did believe it. But he was not so sure. But walking past the lake again some days later, he did hear the cries again, and he decided to look in earnest for some the source, whether it's like an animal or whatever. But he never found anything but strangely shifting shadows in the lake. And if you go to Grouse Lake today, you might hear the call of the drowned boy too. Hikers still claim to hear it all the time. And it's certainly true that people have fallen into the water and drowned, even though it's not clear how that happened, because it's not a particularly big or particularly dangerous lake.
Right, yeah. Just like a big, still, high mountain lake, basically.
It's a small, still, sort of mountain, cool lake. And it's scientifically speaking, hard to say they weren't dragged down to their death by a ghost. Galen eventually goes on to live in a spiritualist community in Santa Barbara.
It's what we all aspire to.
And he dies on March 24th, 1910. And of course, he was buried in that grave he dug for himself 20 years before.
Man, and that guy that chiseled in the 1-8, he feels so fucking stupid at this
Like,
point.
well, he's like, hey, you know what?
Mhm.
That's out of my pocket.
Mhm.
I'll fix this. I took a gamble. I respect that. He's buried about 8 miles away from Grouse Lake, far enough that he can no longer hear the screams of the drowned boy ghost. And if you go to Yosemite today, you can see both Galen Clark's grave and also the lake where there is a drowned boy screaming at you.
Although, to be honest, that's kind of a weird reason to go to Yosemite. I mean, there's a lot of really neat stuff there. You don't.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. People who listen to our podcast,
Mhm.
kind of their kink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, are you going there for like the good postcard shot with like the mountain in the background? No. I'm going here to listen to the cries of a drowned child, actually. Can you show me on the map here?
Are there picturesque mountains? Is that
Yeah. Interesting.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
if we have time, I guess we'll go. So that is the story of the ghost of Yosemite National Park, the ghost of Grouse Lake in Yosemite National Park, a Native American child who will drag you down to your death. Also, Galen Clark is there.
And Yosemite Sam. So.
Oh, tarnation! Ah, hates of these Native American boy ghosts. Oh boy! And if you like this ghost story, you'll like all our ghost stories over on Ghost Plus.
Because they're all much dumber than this.
If you can believe it, boy. Go join Ghost Plus. We also do some live ghost shows that I think we might stop posting the live shows for the plebs, for the masses. I don't know. We're gonna talk about. We have some ideas in mind, but it'd be kind of fun to do just some live shows just for those folks. If Patrick has the time.
Oh, always. Always.
Always lots of time. Yeah. So go join Ghost Plus. It's free for 7 days. Try it out. Go check it. We have a fucking big archive of stories of ghosts, and also the Smith Show over there. So, and other stuff. So go check it out. It's isthis.com/Ghost Plus, all one word. Please think about it. It would be great. We're poorer than we would like to be, and that could help. Is This a Ghost is a production of Smith Show Media. The notes this week are taken by me, Clayton Smith. All the funny jokes were from Patrick Dean. Our audio editor is Jeremy Montoya. Our video editor is Jen Swanson. Our social media team consists of Guy Valonis, Sam Murdoch, and Jennifer Jones. Our merchandise is from Fox and Quill Studio. Go follow them on Instagram at Fox and Quill Studio. They do great work. And this has been another episode that's been, I would say, pretty great. And if I have one piece of advice for you, it's to stay out of nature altogether. Just stay inside.
Thick walls.
Thick walls, not just on the Northwest, maybe also Southeast, maybe also connecting. Stay inside, play video games all day, or else we might be talking about you on the next episode of Is This a Ghost?